How's it going, guys? Cody, guys, back again, dropping out another video. Right, guys, this is a story on crisis hit Birmingham prison, Winson Green, or the Green as it's known locally, about it being put back potentially in the hands of G4S. Now, for those that don't know, here in the UK, you've got public sector and you've got private sector. Public sector prisons are run by Her Majesty's Prison Service. Private prisons run the prisons on behalf of the Ministry of Justice, so Sodexo, G4S, Serco, etc, etc. Now, the prison was put into, it went from private sector to public sector last year because just the sheer state of the prison in every which way. And then obviously the riots, and then there was what was going on with the violence, corruption, and just the conditions, the treatment of prisoners, and G4S lost the contract. It was put into the hands of Her Majesty's Prison Service again. But now they've allegedly brought it up to an adequate standard, not above, but just adequate, meeting the basics, which I've even been told from people from within inside the prison that it's still got it still falls way short of being adequate. And then they're talking about putting it back in the hands of G4S, which they're not fit to run a bath, guys. But I'm going to do the story anyway. So, crisis hit Birmingham prison, could be returned to control of private firm G4S. The government took control of HMP Birmingham last year following a riot, continuing violence and drug use. Management of Birmingham prison could be handed back to private firm G4S, Justice Secretary David Gork has revealed. The Ministry of Justice last year took over management of HMP Birmingham, also known as Winson Green Prison, after inspectors found it was in an appalling state with widespread violence, prisoners using drugs and poor control by terrified staff. It had previously been managed by private firm G4S, but Justice Secretary David Gork refused to rule out handing it back to G4S when he was asked about the future of the prison. Instead, he said, "We will not hand back HMP Birmingham unless it is safe to do so." He added, "We have to look at the successes that exist within the prison system where the private sector has run very effective prisons." No, it hasn't. That cannot be ignored, notwithstanding the very real problems that exist and have existed with Birmingham. In August, the Ministry of Justice appointed a new governor and 30 senior staff to manage HMP Birmingham. But the contract with G4S to run the prison was not cancelled. The firm was told to pay for the costs of the government intervention. At the same time, HMIP, or the Her Majesty's Inspector of Prisons, published a damning report rating the prison as poor, its lowest assessment across all key aspects of prison life. The report stated that many prisoners appeared to be under the influence of drugs when visitors visited the prison, staff were inexperienced, lacking skills and poorly led. Many were said to be fearful. The chaos at Birmingham prison was graphically exposed in 2016 when inmates took part in a 15-hour riot, and there were 1,434 assaults at HMP Birmingham in the 12 months to July 2018, the highest figure of any prison in the country. The new prison governor, Paul Newton, told MPs in December 2018 that violence inside the prison was beginning to fall. He said he had taken time for discipline to be fully restored following the riot. That's it, guys. That's the story. Very short, very sweet, very to the point. Now, like I say, guys, right, G4S, guys, yeah, here in the UK, they was in charge of the London Olympics. They failed massively. I think they had to bring the army in, if I can remember correctly. Then there was the tagging fiasco. They fucked up the tagging for offenders or HDC and people that have been sentenced to tag on a massive, massive scale. And then there was the immigration centres where the abuse and stuff like that kicked off. And then you had the failure after failure after failure at Winson Green Prison, or the Green, or HMP Birmingham prison. And like I say, they're not fit to run a bath, guys. That's the reality. But then they have got one prison that's a success rate, and that sounds like Alt Course Prison, which is again ran by G4S. But the fact is, I don't like private prisons. Why? Because the first aim and their last goal is financial gain, and that comes at the behest of a lot of things: security, officer numbers, the standard of officer, the recruit. They just take anyone. As long as they've got someone in a uniform, they don't care. The quality of the food, by having a lack of staff, that impacts the regime, which comes down on prisoners. Do you know what I mean? Prisoners are getting out for less amounts of time. The list goes on, and they're getting fat and rich of prisoners suffering and prisoners' families suffering. So for me, But it doesn't matter if it's a public sector prison or a private sector. Prisons across the board are failing prisoners, prisoners' families, and even prison officers, guys, in some regard. You know what I mean? I want prisons to work. I want better treatment for prisoners. I want better conditions for prisoners. I want prisoners to be places where they're based solely on rehabilitation. I want to encourage family ties. I would dramatically reduce the prison population. I would massively recruit more nurses and more mental health services. The battle with drugs is just, it's not winnable in my opinion. Having been in prison and stuff and seen the amount of drugs in prison. Just crazy, guys. Mental health is a massive problem. Drugs, where you've got obviously contraband, you've got debt, where you've got debt, you've got fear, intimidation, bullying and violence. It's not a good picture at all. Let me know what you think, guys, on the story. I don't see how bringing it up to standard and then passing it back to some jokers G4S is going to do anything but go. It's only going to go one way, guys, and it's not going to go that way. It's going to go woo straight down. But like I say, these private companies, guys, they don't pay tax for the most part. They're very friendly with the people in the government and stuff. So does it surprise me they're going to get it back? I think they are going to get it back. It's pretty much guaranteed they're going to get it back. But when? As soon as they do, just as soon as they take over that prison again, within weeks, there'll be another story. Trust me when I tell you. Going to leave it there, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Cody out.